Hey guys, it's Erin and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell, we are at the Georgia Aquarium today. Well, not today, this was like 2 weeks ago, but you get the idea. My husband and I took a little trip down to the Georgia Aquarium. This has always been a bucket list item of ours, and let me tell you, it was well worth it. I was absolutely in love with this place. If you guys are thinking of making a trip, I seriously recommend it. But I made this little video so you guys can also see how amazing this place is. But when you walk in, you have all these different exhibits to choose from. I accidentally cut off the shark exhibit on the far left, but the way I make this video is I'm going to start from the left and work my way over to the right so that you kind of get to go in order. Also, if I know what they are, I'm going to put the names of the animals on the screen for you. But yeah, first up on the far left is Predators of the Deep, which is going to be their predator exhibit. So first up is a tank full of triggers and big puffers, but there were some divers cleaning the tank, so I didn't want to get too close and get in their business too much. I didn't want to bother them or make them feel uncomfortable. But behind is their main tank, which is going to be their shark tank. Now, if you don't know, sharks are my all-time favorite animal on the planet. I was absolutely obsessed with this exhibit. There was a mix of different types of sharks like sandbar sharks, great hammerheads, white-tipped reef sharks, and even I saw one or two tiger sharks in here as well, and then a few different schooling fish in the mix. By far, my favorite were the great hammerheads. There's one right there. They are so cool. This is actually my first time seeing hammerheads, and I was just absolutely in love with them. They were so beautiful. This tank was absolutely massive. It wrapped around the entire exhibit, and so basically as you're walking through this exhibit, you just on your right hand side get a huge view the whole way around of this tank. So I'll give you guys a few different shots I took of the sharks. They are all just so beautiful, and I really, really enjoyed this exhibit. It was definitely one of my favorites. And then it's really hard to see, but up at the top here, I'm going to show you in a second, is one of their tiger sharks. I wish I could have gotten a better view closer up, but this is the best I can do. This was also my first time seeing tiger sharks, which was really cool. They also had this little swim above area, which isn't really unique, but I figured I'd show it because it was cool as well. And then just like any zoo or aquarium, they had a little wall with different facts about sharks. And next up is the sea lion exhibit. It says sea lions and seals, but there was only one sea lion in there, and he was in very cloudy water, so it was super difficult to film him. And every time he would come up, the glass was covered in water, so I really couldn't get a clear shot. But really, there wasn't really much to look at because there was one sea lion in this very small exhibit. Next up is River Scout, which is going to be their freshwater exhibit showing off fish that you can find in rivers and lakes. And then we had some of the larger freshwater fish like the long-nosed gar, some carp, some aquatic turtles, which I guess obviously are not freshwater fish, but you know what I mean. And then when you were standing here and you looked above, you can see into the gator section, which I will show you at the end of this video. And then some more aquatic turtles. This guy down here looked like he was about to bite that fish, but he didn't. And then this was my absolute favorite freshwater tank. It was just so bright and colorful and beautiful. I loved all the different aquatic plants and the different species of rainbow fish. It made my husband and I want to start a freshwater planted tank. Next up was Dolphin Coast, which is their bottlenose dolphin exhibit slash show. Now, the show itself was free, but you did have to reserve tickets for it. I'm not sure if that's due to COVID or if they always have it like that, but we reserved our tickets just a couple hours before the show actually started, and we didn't have any issues getting in. They have multiple shows throughout the day. Now, unfortunately, they did not allow filming of the actual show itself, so I wasn't able to get any shots of that, but I did get a couple cute shots of the dolphins swimming around for you guys. Cold Water Quest was the next exhibit in the little line of exhibits. This one's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be all of their cold water fish and other animals. It was a little backed up right here, so here's a shot of the touch tank, which was currently closed, I'm assuming due to COVID, but they had all kinds of really pretty starfish and anemones to look at while we waited. The beluga whales were very fun to watch. They had 6 whales ranging in ages from 9 months up to 32 years old. The really big lumpy guy right there, that's the 32-year-old whale. But they were saying 3 tanks for them to swim in, but only 1 tank is on display. And so the whales had access to all 3 tanks all day. So if they didn't want to be on display, they could leave if they wanted to. But they seemed to like the attention. They were doing some tricks in front of the glass for us. Also, I'm sorry, but the African penguins were very difficult to film. Just like as you see here, the glass was it wasn't dirty, but it was wet with water droplets. And this area was super crowded, so it was kind of hard to actually even get into the glass to look at the penguins in the first place, let alone stay there long enough to be able to get some good shots of them. And then right before you leave this exhibit, it takes you upstairs onto a balcony where you can watch the belugas from up higher. We got there in good timing because it was right as they were starting to do feeding time. And so you kind of got this good but funny shot of all the whales lined up. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, everybody's favorite ocean voyager. You start off by stepping on this platform. If you want to, it's optional, and it goes super slow so you can pay attention to the animals rather than where you're walking. But this had the biggest attractions, the manta rays, and of course, everybody's favorite, the whale sharks. Okay, don't hate me, but I actually liked the manta rays more than the whale sharks. They were both absolutely enormous and both so beautiful, but man, I really loved the manta rays. Also, fun fact, Georgia Aquarium is the only place that you can see whale sharks, or only aquarium you can see whale sharks outside of Asia. So that was pretty cool. And then they had this little display that showed you how thick the acrylic for this tank is. It's 2 feet thick, which I thought was super cool to see. And if you want to pause this video periodically to like read the little facts about it, you can. And then this big viewing window, I think, is probably the most famous like shot or area or tank, whatever, of the Georgia Aquarium. This is the one you see in everybody's pictures, and it is definitely where we spent most of our time because the whale sharks and the manta rays both swam across here constantly. There was a little like standing area in the back as well as seated areas, and we definitely spent most of our time here. We spent more time here than any other exhibit in the aquarium. We actually came back here a second time right before we left just so we can see it all one last time. And there's the sea turtle. He was really hard to find. We only saw him once or twice the entire time we were there because this tank is absolutely massive. And so it's pretty easy for him to hide or get out of shot or eyesight when he wanted to. And then the last exhibit on the main floor was a tropical diver exhibit. This was all about tropical saltwater fish, and it had an emphasis on coral and reefs and stuff like that. And this tank was also one of my favorites as well. It's definitely one of the largest living reef tanks, if not the largest I have ever seen. And I loved the way it curved up above you. It was super pretty. And of course, my camera did not pick up all the colors like it should have, but man, the colors in here were absolutely beautiful. And then once again, because of the blue lighting for the coral, my camera did not pick it up very well, but as you can imagine, the coral and in this next tank, the anemones had really pretty colors to them. And then upstairs they had this aquanaut adventure, which was kind of more for kids, but they did have a freshwater ray pool that was like a touch tank, so you could touch the rays as they swam by. And there was also a hallway that had like information about insects, but we didn't even see any real insects, so didn't really take any videos of that. And then the other thing that's upstairs is a gator crossing, and so they had like this albino alligator, and then you can look down on the river area that I showed you from before. Remember how I showed you the look above and you could see the bottom of the gator? Well, that's what you were looking up at. And then they had this room that had a few different little baby gators. They were quite small, even though they were like 5 or 6 feet already. And then they had a look down again of the river area, and you could see some aquatic turtles, some gar, stuff like that. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I absolutely love the Georgia Aquarium, and if you guys can make it out here, I would highly, highly recommend it. It is definitely one that I will be making a trip out to see again.